Each and every one of us. As we prepare to make a pilgrimage to Bethlehem to welcome the newborn Jesus, we also welcome those who are making a virtual pilgrimage to be with us through the live stream. For our friends here in the sanctuary, let's take a moment to turn towards the camera near the welcoming congregation banner and offer our greetings to those streaming at home by waving. Let's give a friendly wave. Thank you. And as in a moment, we will greet one another. And if you have yet to choose a costume for the pageant, please pick one up from the back of the sanctuary, and we'll give you a little extra time to do this. Let's turn and greet one another.
Welcome, everyone. Good morning. I'm Martin Newhouse. I'm the worship associate this morning as we gather for our Sunday service at the Winchester Unitarian Society, a caring religious community devoted to spiritual growth, social transformation, and environmental responsibility. And as a welcoming congregation, we affirm the full inclusion of people of all sexual orientations and gender identities. And as UUs, our faith does not require us to believe in a dogma, any particular tenet or creed, and we believe many, many different things among us all. But we prize freedom of thought and open, honest discussion and questioning because these, we believe, enrich both our spiritual lives and our work in the community. And I'm always fond of quoting in this connection the very first minister of this society, Richard Metcalf, who over 100 years ago said, "We do not regard even the best creed as final. We look for new truths and new statements of old ones. We maintain the unlimited right of free inquiry." But even if we don't impose a dogma or a tenet, we recognize that our faith does call on us to do certain things, and among these we recognize the inherent worth and dignity of every person, and in that spirit we greet with joy and fellowship all who are here with us today in person or via live streaming. We welcome you all. Today is a special Sunday, the annual Christmas pageant. Our primary stage directors are the Spirit of Life and our collective inner children. This is to say that at the heart of today's service is not necessarily theatrical excellence, but joy in telling and retelling the ancient story and an invitation to all of us to play. If you somehow escaped finding a costume to wear, feel free to pick up any remaining costumes and put it on at your seat during the opening hymn. A Guinchy virus has prevented Brenna Mayer, our religious education coordinator, from being with us today. We thank our affiliated community minister. After worship, all are invited to Metcalf Hall for a holiday lunch and service auction. The lunch is prepared by a youth group, and auction purchases support their service trip to War, West Virginia this spring. Metcalf Hall is downstairs. If stairs are difficult for you, volunteers are available to drive you around from the front entrance. Just meet at the main street entrance for the Holiday Lunch Express. Speaking of Metcalf Hall, this Thursday, please join us in Metcalf at 6:30 p.m. for our annual solstice ceremony. This informal service concludes with jumping the flaming wreath in the parking lot and from there going caroling through the downtown Winchester. The ceremony and caroling are fun for people of all ages. Be sure to invite your friends too. And then join us for Christmas Eve by candlelight at 4 p.m. and or 7 p.m. on Christmas Eve, which is next Sunday. The early service is particularly family friendly. Due to the evening services for Christmas Eve, there will be no Sunday morning service next Sunday, alas. But let us now open our hearts and minds to the spirit of worship with our children's chorale singing, "I Saw Three Ships."
I now invite Calvin Levering to kindle our chalice flame and to light our Advent candles. We will dedicate our chalice with these words. In times of cold, we seek a warming fire. In times of repression, we reach for the lamp of truth. In times of loss, we pray for comforting light. In times of joy, we light a candle of celebration. Spirit of life, as we kindle this light, help us find what we need this day. And for our Advent candles, the third candle we light in this Advent season is for joy. Where do we find joy? It is possibly in the simple things or in something monumental. In this, the season of sharing, may we find joy in the mundane, the monumental, the familiar, the strange. Joy can sometimes be elusive, and so we light a candle to help guide our way. We light a candle of joy. I turn to our stage managers, Diana and Milo. Are we good on the costumes? Go team! If you have a costume and you haven't put it on yet, please put it on during the opening hymn. And let's all rise in body, rise in spirit to join in singing, Go Tell It on the Mountain. The words are in the insert in your order of service.
One hoped-for goal of our church is to encourage all who gather here to grow more generous in spirit and in action. This indeed is the great end of all the world's faith traditions, to bring us human beings closer to the divine by acts of creation, generosity, and compassion. We are now asked to make an offering that allows us to exercise that all-important generosity of spirit, an offering that will help support this self-supporting church and its many ministries. This day today, this Sunday, we are going to share the plate with the Lexington Refugee Assistance Program, LEX-RAP, whose mission is to support and assist refugees and asylum seekers into American society. This assistance includes a support network for housing, clothing, transportation, health care, and education, especially English, employment, legal aid, and socialization. Here are the different ways you can donate. Those in the sanctuary may give cash or checks or donate electronically. Text the word GIVE to the number in your order of service or visit our website under the giving page. Please write or type the date of your offering in the memo field or memo line or comment field. And if you are visiting with us for the first time today, either in person or online, you are our guest. The most valuable thing folks can offer at this moment in lieu of a contribution is your contact information so we can stay connected beyond this Sunday. In-person attendees who are here for the first time can find a physical visitor card in the pew rack in front of you. Please complete it and put it in the collection plate. Information about how to give online and how to complete the actual visitor card will soon be projected on the screen for those who are live streaming at home. The offering will now be generously given and gratefully received. Those who wish to do so are invited to join in the unison affirmation which is in your order of service. We gather not for ourselves alone, but to use our common power to build the beloved community within and beyond these walls. We create and reaffirm this covenant this day to make justice flourish, to practice compassion amidst difference, and to embody transformative love.
Mike, please. Thank you. Each year, we retell the story of Jesus' birth. This morning, we invite you to hear this ancient and familiar story once again. The story of a baby born in a stable, the story of shepherds and wise people, the story of angels and shining stars. Many of you will take part in telling this story. You will help us to experience the old story in a new way, as if it were happening for the first time, right here, right now. Martin and I will narrate the story and give you directions and tell you when it's your turn to come on up front. Don't worry about doing things right or making mistakes, because there aren't any mistakes today. There's only us telling the story of the birth of a little baby named Jesus, who was born in an unexpected place and grew up to have a hard and important life, and whose teachings were all about love, inclusive, accepting, challenging love. And these teachings about love are so powerful that we are still teaching them today. There's only us bringing the story of that baby's birth joyfully and messily and chaotically to life. And messy and chaotic and hopefully with a lot of joy is how new life usually comes into the world. So that is exactly how it should be here this morning, too. So if Mary and Joseph and their donkey will go to the back of the sanctuary, and a certain Roman emperor who will hopefully have mercy upon the narrators and not threaten to toss us to the lions enter the lectern, the story can begin.
A long time ago, in a place called Palestine, the Roman Empire ruled the land, and everyone had to do what the emperor, that's me, told them to do, whether they liked it or not, even if it meant that people had to travel a long way in order to get counted so that they will have to give me money. And that is exactly what happened. In those days, a decree went out from Emperor Augustus, that's me, and here is what it said. All the world has to be counted in a census so that I will know how many people owe me money. And once I know how many people there are, I will make them pay me taxes. And just to be perfectly clear, I am the emperor, and I am in charge of all things. And so they will pay that money to me.
So all the people had to go to the city or town where they had been born to register. For some people, that meant a long journey. Joseph, a carpenter, and Mary, the woman to whom he was engaged to be married, lived in the town of Nazareth, and they had to go to the town of Bethlehem, which was about 70 miles, a very long walk. Mary and Joseph and Mary's little donkey, will you begin your long, slow journey from Nazareth up the center aisle now? Mary was pregnant, and she was going to have her baby very soon, and she was tired and very uncomfortable. Walking was hard, and riding on the donkey hurt her back. But there was nothing that could be done about it. They had to go. So they traveled slowly, sometimes even walking into the dark nights, which were lit only by the bright stars. We need some bright stars now. Will the stars please come forward and stand in front of the chalice so you can shine on the rest of the story? If at any point some stars need to rest, we have some start stools for them as well. When Mary and Joseph finally arrived in Bethlehem, they went to the inn in Bethlehem. Innkeeper, would you come up to the front to answer your door? The innkeeper answered the door and told Mary and Joseph and their little donkey,
Sorry, but between the census and the first night of Hanukkah tonight, my guest rooms are full. There's no room for you here. But just to set the record straight, I am not really an innkeeper. I am a distant relative of Joseph's, and it's like this. Joseph was born in Bethlehem, and he still has family here, even if we are really, really, really distant cousins, like fourth cousins twice removed. There is no way I would let Joseph and Mary go to an inn to stay with strangers. I'm not even sure we have inns. But the problem is that the rooms in my house set aside for guests are full, overfull, packed full.
The guest rooms were full because so many people had returned to Bethlehem for the census. But Joseph's fourth cousin, twice removed, saw how tired Mary and Joseph were and how very pregnant Mary was, and she knew that she had to make room for them somewhere. The custom of providing welcome is very strong in this part of the world, so she told them they could stay in the stable. But the stable wasn't a building in the back, separate from everything else. In those days, and at that time, people had a small room attached to the main part of their house that was for their animals. So it would have been pretty crowded in the stable and full of animals because it was, well, a stable. But the family would have been nearby too, and Mary and Joseph would not have been all alone while she went through labor and childbirth. Anyway, the innkeeper, also known as Joseph's fourth cousin twice removed, said,
Come on in. You can stay in the stable. It isn't much, and my animals are all in there because, well, it's a stable. But it's warm, and it's a place to rest, and I will bring you some food and some water for washing and some blankets. Really, it's pretty comfortable. It's not bad at all. Come with me, I will show you.
And so the innkeeper brought Mary and Joseph and their donkey up here to the stable.
Innkeeper has said the stable was just a very small room, kind of stuck out onto the rest of the house. And like most stables, it had animals in it. The innkeeper kept a donkey there, and a small milk cow, and a flock of chickens, and there was a beautiful barn cat, and some quiet mice living in the corners, and there were also all sorts of other animals. So will all of these animals and creatures, except the camels and the sheep, who come a little later in the story, come on up and gather in the stable. You can crawl, or slither, or hop, or walk, or fly up here, depending upon the kind of animal you are. If you didn't choose a costume, but you'd like to come up to the stable, come on up. And if you are very shy or a very small animal, maybe one of your grown-ups would come with you up into the stable. The animals welcomed Mary and Joseph and were even kind enough to give up their hay-filled manger or feeding trough so that the baby would have a bed. As soon as Mary and Joseph got settled in, it became clear that it was time for the baby to be born. So while the baby is being born, let's stand in body, stand in spirit, and join in singing Away in the Manger. The words are on the insert in your order of service.
Thus, Mary gave birth to a very beautiful little baby, as you can see, in a simple stable, surrounded by animals. Joseph and Mary wrapped their baby up warmly and named the baby Jesus, because Joseph had already had a dream that the baby's name should be Jesus. The animals welcomed the baby by making all their animal noises, chirping or mooing or baaing or meowing or barking, but gently, gently, so they don't scare the baby. Moo, moo. Now, in that region, there were shepherds living in the fields, keeping watch over their flocks by night. They were high up in the hills, keeping their sheep safe on a dark and quiet night. So now we need shepherds and sheep. Will you go to the back of the sanctuary by the center aisle? And shepherds, bring your crooks. And when you are ready, our border collie named Lena will lead you halfway down the aisle to your hills. And while this is happening, let's rise in body, rise in spirit to sing the first Noel, while the sheep, shepherds, and border collie make their way to the hills, halfway down the aisle. The words are in the insert in your order of service.
While the shepherds were watching their flocks by night, suddenly an angel named Gabriel, who was an extremely important and very cool angel among all the angels, stood before them. Could we have a little angel music? The angel stood before them, and a great light shone all around them. And the shepherds were sore afraid, which means terrified. But the angel said to them,
Fear not, for behold, I bring you good tidings of great joy, which shall be for all people. For unto you is born this day in the city of David a deliverer, a Messiah, who is Christ the Lord. And this shall be a sign to you. You shall find the baby wrapped in swaddling clothes, lying in a manger. In other words, there is nothing to be afraid of. I have amazing, incredible good news, and it is for everyone. Today in Bethlehem, a baby was born, and this baby is going to grow up to make things better, especially for people who don't have riches or power, the ones that everyone just walks by without really seeing. Well, this baby will see them. Don't bother looking in fancy places, though. You'll find the baby in a little shed, all wrapped up, surrounded by animals, and sleeping in the hay in the feeding trough, which is actually pretty comfortable, in my angelic opinion.
And suddenly there was with the angel Gabriel a whole choir of angels. So will all the angels fly over and join the angel Gabriel. We have one more angel coming. So the shepherds said to one another, Let us go now to Bethlehem and see this thing that has taken place. So the shepherds went quickly to Bethlehem, bringing along their sheep, and the angels gathered in the sky around the stable to help light the way. So while all the angels and the shepherds and sheep and border collies come to Bethlehem, let's rise in body, rise in spirit, to join in singing, Rise Up, Shepherd, and Follow.
When they got to the stable in Bethlehem, the shepherds and their sheep found Mary and Joseph and the baby lying in the manger, just as Angel Gabriel had told them. And they were so amazed. They told everyone what the angel had said to them about the newborn baby, and everyone who heard the story was amazed too. But Mary just remembered all these things and kept them in her heart, though mostly she loved her baby And the sheep gently baaed for the baby because they were so happy and they loved the baby too. They sensed that baby was special. And sheep, could you baa now for baby Jesus? That was beautiful. Now, after Jesus was born in Bethlehem, 3 wise persons, where kings and queens from the Far East, came to Jerusalem traveling on camels. Will the wise persons and their camels go to the back of the sanctuary, the center aisle now? And don't forget your gifts. What happened was that the wise persons had learned about a prophecy, a prediction, that the Messiah, the long-awaited king of the Jewish people, would be born in Bethlehem. So the wise persons set out with their camels on a long journey to Bethlehem, bearing special and beautiful gifts for the baby because they wanted to honor the baby. While the wise persons finally found the baby in the stable, they were overwhelmed with joy. And they opened their bags and brought out their gifts of gold and frankincense and myrrh. So let's rise in body, rise in spirit to join in singing We Three Kings while the wise persons and camels make their way to Bethlehem and give their gifts to the baby.
If you are able, please remain standing. Now we have gathered everyone who was part of the story of the birth of Jesus. Let's pause for a moment and just look. Look at the shining stars and angels. Look at the shepherds and sheep and wise persons and camels and animals, all gathered together peacefully in the manger. Look at the parents and their baby. This story is a story about hope and new life. It is a story about birth and wonder and mystery. It is a story about love getting born into this world and how love can change everything. It is all still here. Look, it is all still here. Our closing hymn is O Little Town of Bethlehem. As we sing, everyone can make their way, oh so carefully, back to their seats. We ask that you put your costumes in its paper bag and leave it on your pew. Let's sing, O Little Town of Bethlehem.
We have shared familiar stories, sung carols, opened our hearts to the beauty of music. We have dared to hear a message of hope, spoken once again against the challenge of the world. It is time now to depart, to go forward, to live our lives and to the world. May joy be our companion, whether we are with others or alone. May love be our strength, and may the gift of community dwell in our hearts. Go in peace. Amen.
Please join with me in reading together the words for extinguishing the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. The service has ended, but our life of service continues. Let's make our way to Metcalf Hall for the holiday lunch, auction, and caroling.